Welcome to the Conscious Publicist Podcast, a space where thoughts become ideas to advocate for a more conscious human experience in the media. Our thoughts and ideas inspire action, and the most notable leaders and organizations have transformed thoughts and ideas into global initiatives that have impacted the lives of millions. My name is Ashley Graham, and as a woman-owned business founder and publicist, I guide leaders, visionaries, and creators in discovering their conscious media voice and methodologies that inspire connection, community, and impact through aligned media channels. In this podcast, we'll dive into public relations, thought leadership, business, and entrepreneurship, all through the lens of being a conscious human being. I'll take you behind the scenes into the habits, thoughts, and modalities that have helped leaders shift past paradigms of limiting beliefs, comparison, and self-doubt to show up for themselves to become the subject matter experts they were called to be. Subscribe to the show on Apple or Spotify and join us on this journey of awakening the conscious, enlightened leader within you. Happy New Year, everyone. I am thrilled that we are finally in 2024, and I'm very excited to bring the first episode of the year to the podcast. One of the things that I love most about the end of the year, especially the last 3 months of the year into the first few months of a new calendar year, is I get some of the most activating reflections and insights. Myself personally, after taking an extended amount of time during the holiday season to sit in stillness, I received an idea to share a unique and introspective journey of the biggest reflections that came up for me while I was reflecting on 2023. Diving into my first reflection is 2023 was a significant year when it came to the personal evolution of my sense of self. 2023 really challenged the essence of what I believed about strength and success, and it showed me one of the pivotal lessons that always comes up for me. And that lesson is the significance of seeking help and embracing support, especially when I resist it the most. A little fun fact about me, for the longest time, I used to wear my independence like a badge of honor, often priding myself on being a self-made woman, and I still do to a degree. Asking for help sometimes feels like uncharted territory, almost taboo. But one of the things that really came to my attention this year was to craft a different narrative around asking for help and paving a path to ultimately teach me this energy and this realization that seeking support is not necessarily a concession of failure, but more so a celebration of strength and wisdom that recognizes its own limits. Towards the beginning of 2023, I had encountered a crossroad where the way forward seemed uncertain but divinely familiar, especially when it came to this new business venture of the Conscious Publicist. I was met with so much resistance on stretching myself in a way that I necessarily haven't done or didn't do in the years of my entrepreneurial experience years previously. But I wanted to truly discover a new reality of the significance and the impact of seeking advice, guidance, and execution support where and when needed the most. While changing my business direction in 2023 completely, I learned that partnerships are not just about seeking support, but more so shifting the perspective about what's possible for a business and a movement when you retain support. Through 9 to 10 months of the year last year, while I was in different partnerships in business, I learned the immense impact of receiving support in the areas that I know are not in my zone of genius. To paint the picture is I really made it a point to let go of the reins of what I was holding on to so closely and to have faith and trust that whatever support and guidance and feedback that I was seeking or receiving was ultimately what I needed in those moments. But diving into this reflection even deeper, there were a few moments of transformation or realization that came up for me through the partnerships in which I sought support in 2023 that I also want to share. So, this reflection is multidimensional. When coming into partnership, especially when seeking execution support through partnerships, what most people don't realize is you are creating an energetic ecosystem to collaborate on different concepts, strategies, ideas, different ways of being through those projects that truly aid in a collaboration of shared success. When two people are in partnership with one another in a business or a creative environment, you have the beautiful opportunity to learn through one another. And when we are in partnership with others, especially in business, we learn about our true strengths, our weaknesses, our areas for improvement and expansion, and ultimately how we are in relationship with others. There was a couple of valuable lessons in this reflection that all connected with one another, but all vastly different at the same time. But what I learned through each of those pillars of this lesson or reflection is a testament to the transformative power of reaching out, asking for support, having trust and faith that the help that you're receiving is the help that you need in that moment. And most importantly, just the power of expanding in business with others. Moving on to my second reflection from 2023 is realizing that I have truly mastered a powerful mindset and perspective that the only person I compete with is the reflection staring back at me in the mirror. If you haven't gathered this already through listening to my content on the podcast, is I cherish moments of introspection and self-discovery, knowing that my path is uniquely mine, and comparing it to others is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just isn't going to work. The luxury, which is also kind of my theme of 2024, if you follow the newsletter, is creating an environment to focus on my own growth and progress because it's truly a gift to my soul. Allowing myself the space to focus on my growth and progress has allowed me to truly savor the beauty of my personal journey without the pressure of competing with external influences. I say that this is a gift because, again, it gives me a space and an energy to explore my passions, to conquer my fears, and embrace my uniqueness, all in which have significantly propelled me forward this year, even through the moments where I felt like I was not moving forward. And that's a gift to be able to have these moments of clarity, these moments of insights, and just knowing that you're the one that is giving yourself the space and the permission to come to those realizations and those reflections within yourself. I am always grateful for the space I give myself to push myself beyond my limits because I strive for a better version of myself each day. There's a level of satisfaction that comes with self reflection and self improvement, and it really truly is unparalleled. Giving myself the space to come to this realization around comparison is really the true reality that comparison will only breed discontent, whereas self-reflection will always foster growth, personal fulfillment, and a simplicity of just being as you are, which is a gift and is all something that we deserve. I don't know if you would necessarily call this a practice or more so a personal declaration in moments when I felt like I was comparing myself to others. But I truly practiced this mantra and this internal dialogue with myself that I am only competing with myself. But outside of just the mantras and the internal dialogue, is I made it a point to celebrate my successes, even if they were just the smallest little inches forward in my path of success for the year. When we allow ourselves to celebrate our successes, it brings you into the energy of personal celebration. And I often feel that when we fall into a comparison trap is because we feel that there is something that we're lacking when we are comparing ourselves with others. But if you allow yourself to sit with your successes, again, no matter how small they are, you bring yourself into the energy of acknowledging that you have everything that you need in that moment, and there is nothing outside of you that you are lacking. I have quite the lengthy reflections if you haven't gathered that already, but nothing compares to the one that I have next for you. In 2023, I added a new layer to my multidimensional identity, and that is the identity of a podcaster. This new venture not only brought me an immense amount of joy, but also unfolded unexpected avenues of personal growth that I wasn't expecting when I started. I want to talk about a few key discoveries I learned through the podcasting journey this year that I think will ring true for those who have already embarked on the journey of podcasting or might be considering stepping into the world of podcasting in 2024. Firstly, I want to start with the often overlooked aspect of podcasting, which is learning to love the sound of your own voice. My biggest takeaway from this experience is that when we love the sound of our voice, we use it as a catalyst to share the stories and messages that truly inspire others. I have big aspirations for diving into this topic in more depth on the podcast soon, more so in our voice activation series. But if you're curious to know my discovery in this sense and what I learned through this journey, especially activating podcasting, you can go over to our exclusives page and dive into the article, Why Do We Dislike the Sound of Our Own Voice? I don't want to focus on this again because I do plan on talking about this in our upcoming series, our voice activation series. But for myself personally, again, speaking to the avenues of personal growth through podcasting, is I had been led into this energy of loving the sound of my own voice. To give you some very personal insights into conversations that I have in my world of PR, is I often heard from clients that they could not go back and listen to their podcast recordings or their media interviews because they couldn't hear the sound of their own voice. I had heard this similarity between people for years and years and years. In my 5 to 7 years of my entrepreneurial journey being a publicist and being in the PR space. And each time that I heard this, or each time that somebody affirmed the reality of that experience, it created this urgency, or maybe urgency isn't the right word, but it created this curiosity. Curiosity is the word I was looking for. It created this curiosity to learn and understand why. As I'm in the thought leadership space, I know how to ideate different topics that speak to the human experience. And I ideated this process, or I took myself through the ideation process to understand the human experience when it came to listening to the sound of our voice, especially through mediums that don't have a face behind it. I don't want to get too carried away on a tangent with this, but it does take a whole level of self-actualization and self-reflection to get on a screen and recording your insights, your voice, your stories, your messages without a person being on the other end. When we're in conversation with others, it's so much more dynamic and it's so much more natural for us because we're in conversation, we're in communications with people every single day, if not every single moment if not every single hour. But through podcasting, if you're not on video, all you hear is your voice. And there's this internal voice, first and foremost, that you're connecting with. But then when the episode publishes or the actual manifestation of the content is published and live in the world, then you hear your external voice. And there's a difference in how we hear ourselves through the internal voice and the external voice. I have big aspirations to talk about the reality of this experience in this way, but it really is truly one of the profound discoveries that I've learned through podcasting, but then also through this journey of being in PR and being a catalyst for other people to have their stories, their voices, and their messages told in very public platforms. To dive into other insights from this reflection, that was definitely one that deserved a lot of attention. But coming back to some of the other points that I had was beyond the microphone, podcasting gives you an incredible new platform to share ideas and innovations in a clear and concise manner. And that is what this podcast has done for me in 2023, but then also in the years to come. The reality is, nurturing a new platform or channeling ideas and innovations is a skill set that extends beyond audio and overall enhances everyday communication to further express your thoughts with new clarity. And that's what, again, it's done for me. As a podcaster, I believe that I have evolved into a more expansive speaker and a storyteller, because going through this process, especially to capture someone's attention, requires a certain level of finesse to make an emotional connection that also demands vulnerability. The practice of podcasting has refined these skills in ways that I was not envisioning necessarily before I started the podcast. And it's overall enhanced my communication abilities and transformed me into a more engaging communicator, at least in my opinion. Again, a podcast is a very auditory experience, and it does require a level of reflection into how you lead and how you inspire and how you ideate certain ideas to make an impact through a medium or a platform. And all of that speaks to communication. There will always be this connection between internal communication and external communication, but they breathe the same energy, they breathe the same light. And podcasting, I believe, just through practice and consistency, but then also taking time to nurture the content and nurture the message in which you're bringing out into the world through the platform, is how you further expand when it comes to communication. And also how people find even more connection into you and your vulnerabilities and the impact in which you share through your content. My last little part to this reflection is the realization that through podcasting, I have gotten clearer insights gained into my identity and thought leadership style. I believe that podcasting serves as a mirror, reflecting not just the words spoken, but the essence of the speaker. So, to all the multi passionate souls who have been considering stepping into the role or the spotlight of podcasting, I highly encourage you to explore it, because it just might be the unexpected catalyst for the personal growth you never knew you needed. For my last reflection before I wrap up this episode, as I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite quotes that really rang through my mind in 2023. You may have heard the name Rumi. Rumi was a renowned Persian poet that left behind a treasure trove of wisdom that continues to inspire and guide people centuries after his passing. One of his most famous quotes that has been on replay in my mind is, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself." We just wrapped up our self-mastery series, which speaks to the impact and empowerment of a journey of continuous learning, growth, and self-evolution. Self-mastery, by definition, is the process of gaining control over our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and using that control to create the life that we desire. Self-mastery for me is really sorting out and activating the strength to respond to our experiences in life rather than react to them, and ultimately cultivating inner peace and resilience and living in alignment with our true values, purpose, and characteristics. In my opinion, and you'll often hear this from other self-mastery practitioners, is self-mastery is a lifelong journey that requires a deep level of discipline, commitment, and self-awareness. This quote by Rumi suggests that our initial impulse might be to change the experiences around us, driven by a desire and a level of awareness to make a positive difference in the areas that we seek or see improvement. However, as we gain this inner wisdom and inner awareness around our experiences and the part that we play, we realize that the most profound change begins within us. It's through changing ourselves that we can inspire and influence others to do the same, which creates a ripple effect that can have a far-reaching impact and make a difference than reacting to the experiences and the situations in our lives. The Conscious Publicist Podcast is something that I hope to continue to activate to be an excellent resource if you're interested in learning more about self-mastery, the practices of self-mastery, and how you can use those practices to create a fulfilling and meaningful life. Whether you're just beginning your self-mastery journey, if you have been along in the process for a while, or just looking to deepen your practice, I really hope that this channel can provide incredible insights, tools, and the inspiration that you need to be the leader that you desire. And my last little note about this reflection is to remember, as Rumi reminds us, true change begins within, and the journey of self-mastery can be a catalyst for lasting growth and evolution in the new year. Self-mastery can also be applied in different roles and identities that we play in our lives, which I think is the reason why I feel so connected to the practice and just the impact that self-mastery can create. That wraps it up for my reflections that I wanted to share from my 2023 recap. I'll leave a last little note, which is basically a reintroduction for anybody that is new here to the Conscious Publicist Podcast. I am the mastermind behind the Conscious Publicist, and in my business, we innovate PR and media strategies and transform thought leadership with strategic advisory and partnerships. My podcasting journey is a way to share with you the natural evolutions of what it takes for a thought leader to give themselves the permission to show up visibly, to own their brilliance in a very public manner. As for our clients, thought leaders partner with us to discover their conscious voices. As you might have gathered, we talk about voices a lot with the Conscious Publicist, but also help them discover methodologies that inspire connection, community, and impact through the right media channels. I believe that sharing reflections like the ones I've shared in this episode is an incredible way to tap into our thought leadership voice and the stories that truly connect with others. If you are seeking this type of impact and connection in 2024, I'd love to welcome you into our community. You can follow along here on the podcast, or you can sign up for our almost weekly newsletter, our thoughtfully crafted platform designed to keep you in the loop about our exclusive content, collaborations, partnership opportunities, our podcast episodes, our business expansion tools, and overall just a wealth of additional resources. If you're interested in joining that newsletter, You can sign up at theconsciouspublicist.com/newsletter. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in today and have an incredible start to your new year.